Don't hire a contractor until you watch this video first. If you're hiring a contractor in Ontario or most jurisdictions, you may or may not be aware that it's basically the wild, wild west out there. We do not have any kind of licensing or registration process for general contractors. And even in states, and I think provinces that do have it, the requirements are pretty minimal. They might have to show that they have the proper insurance, that they have workers' comp, that type of thing, but it doesn't qualify their skills. So here's the hidden secret with general contracting. Most general contractors learn by doing. You learn by either working for someone else, or in some cases, you started as a DIYer and then thought, I kind of like this, maybe I'll start doing it for other people. The problem is your knowledge is only going to be as good as your experience or what you learn from. And that's going to vary widely. And it's going to depend on the person too, right? Some people are inherently, by their own nature, going to research. They're going to do a lot of their own digging. And nowadays there's tons of resources available. So you can gain a lot of knowledge really quickly. And if they do some research every time they're doing a project that they take on and they're trying to improve their processes, maybe they can get pretty good. A lot of times what I see is someone learned from someone else who didn't actually know what they were doing, or maybe just had old, outdated habits and that kind of thing. So it is really the wild, wild west. I see things all the time that contractors have just sort of picked up these bad habits, or they think that they know the Ontario Building Code requirements when they really don't at all. Unfortunately, to be honest, the Ontario Building Code is really complex to navigate. For an average person to just pick it up, it's really complicated. It's a huge book. It's written in a metric system too, which is like gibberish to most contractors. We work in standard, we work in inches and feet. And so when you start reading things in millimeters and meters, it just doesn't translate into the field. And the Ontario Building Code is also it's sort of like cross-references itself. So you might read something and think, okay, that's the requirement, but there's actually something somewhere else entirely that has a different requirement for what you're specifically looking at. So to make a long story short, when you're hiring a general contractor especially, I think you need to be really, really cautious and make sure to do your due diligence. First of all, referrals are great. If you can get a referral from someone that you know and you trust, ideally a few though, that always is kind of a head start, right? So if a friend or family has used them, but keep in mind, they might have had a good experience, but their own knowledge might be limited too. So they might think that the person did a good job when in fact, someone who really knows what they're doing might say, no, like they really cut some corners here. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Obviously nowadays you can check things like reviews online, you can check the Better Business Bureau, but here's a couple things to keep in mind with that too. Reviews, so Google reviews are a good source. Google reviews are pretty unbiased, but they can be fake. Yelp, Homestars, any of those companies, they're almost like a pay-to-play type marketplace. So contractors get on there typically by paying, or sometimes they can add themselves for free, but if they want to show up well, then they have to pay. And so it's kind of a whole scheme to get contractors to pay for advertising and leads. So keep in mind that that information could be a little bit biased. Another thing with the Better Business Bureau, if you look up a business, it's often going to say this business is not accredited, right? Very common. It's important to recognize that that is actually just, again, a bit of a pay-to-play type of scheme where Better Business Bureau charges, and they do background checks. It's a legitimate process, but a lot of contractors aren't going to bother with that, right? Contractors that do really good work don't need to pay for those things. They don't need to be paying to be accredited. They don't need to be paying for leads. Their phones just ring all the time. The best contractors that I know don't have websites. They don't have decals on their truck. Their phones just ring from referrals, because once you find a good contractor, you're going to give their name out to 27 people that you know. I refer people to contractors that I know and trust all the time. So it makes it very challenging for the average person to select a contractor. If you're in the London area, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to steer you in the right direction. I have some great contacts out there. But otherwise, you really got to dig a little bit deeper. You got to check references, referrals, check reviews, gather as much information you can. You're probably looking, if you don't have a good referral or review, you're probably looking for a company that does have a bit of an online presence and that does have enough reviews on there that you're going to feel comfortable with it. Make sure you always look at the low reviews too, if there is a few on there. and really understand like what I do. Sometimes what you'll see is like the low reviews are kind of unreasonable. There'll be people complaining about medial things or something like that. Sometimes they're very legitimate. So make sure you look at that as well, because you don't want to look at a company and think, oh, geez, they have a few terrible reviews. But when you read them, it might be kind of something silly or more of like a dispute than an actual deficiency or issue. So those are my tips. It's a tricky world out there when it comes to selecting general contractors, but hopefully that gives you some tips that will help you with your next project.